is the Taliban's red line, threatening President Biden that U.S. troops better be out by August 31st or face consequences. This, all while thousands of Americans and Afghan allies do remain trapped in the country. Joining us now, former acting commissioner and Customs and Border Protection, visiting fellow as well at FAIR, Mark Morgan. Mark, thanks for joining us.
You bet, Jan.
You've worked at a high level with several past administrations dealing with international diplomacy, foreign policy when it comes to national security. We are now 1 week away from this August 31st deadline. What would happen, Mark, if we stayed past that deadline?
Look, there are no good options, Jan. Look, we're either going to have to continue to negotiate with what most refer to in the intelligence community as a terrorist regime in Afghanistan. A country now that where Al-Qaeda is alive and well, ISIS is alive and well, where just days after the Taliban took over Afghanistan, our own Pentagon warned that Afghanistan will now return to a base of operation for terrorist organization. It is that situation now. That's who we're going to have to continue to negotiate with to be able to get our own citizens out. It's horrific. And the Taliban, as you said, has already threatened, just this week alone, said that there will be consequences if we stay past that arbitrary 31st deadline. And that's going to relate to, that means we're going to have to take surgical but extensive military force and military operations to be able to rescue American citizens. Or Jan, the unthinkable is this administration would have to be forced to walk away and leave American citizens there.
Yeah.
And it was all preventable. That's where we're at right now.
It's certainly a mess right now. The only part of Afghanistan that U.S. troops control, as we understand, is the airport, right, in Kabul. However, if the Taliban is controlling the perimeter and everything beyond that, how would U.S. citizens and allies safely get to the airport by August 31st? Because we've heard of so many situations where there had to be special operations to rescue certain people. And I'm just curious, if our people cannot get to the airport, what's going to happen?
Yeah, Jan, I think you're absolutely right. And this is something that every American should be thinking about. This is the most important question, I think, with respect to what's going on right now. Look, our military is the best trained, the best equipped. They could do right now special operations, surgical movements to go get American citizens right now. Why would we wait till August 31st when now the Taliban has already said that there will be consequences if we stay past that deadline, giving Al-Qaeda, ISIS more time to prepare to do American citizens harm? We should be acting now. We should be doing military operations now. Our sole focus should be on getting American citizens out right now. But this administration is not doing it.
I also want to ask you about the screening process for these special immigrant visas. Because of all the danger, chaos, and confusion, we really don't even have an accurate count of those who did make it out and who remains. But there is that big question about that screening process. Talk us through who applies for these visas, and what about those Afghans who don't qualify but still want to evacuate?
So, Jan, that's another great question that there's a lot of confusion. The SIV, Special Immigrant Visa, is designed solely for those Afghans who risk everything to help American military operations in Afghanistan. And we absolutely have an obligation to protect them. But with that obligation, we have to temper that with intelligence, both literally and figuratively. Look, there have been countless stories where Afghans that started out to assist Americans actually ended up being traitors and actually caused U.S. soldiers and military personnel to lose their lives. So we cannot abandon the vetting process even for those individuals. And I'm concerned now with the chaos and rush. That's exactly what we're doing. But then there's that second level that are not, they don't qualify because they didn't do anything to help U.S. troops, but they just want to flee the terrorist regime of the Taliban, which I understand. But the U.S. should not be the settlement country of what could be over 100,000 Afghan refugees. This is a regional crisis. Where's the UAE? Right now, look, I'm already getting information that Afghans have already landed in the U.S. and there were issues with the manifest, meaning they couldn't verify who was on the plane. We could literally be importing terrorists into this country.
Some lawmakers and some Pentagon officials warned of another 9/11 because of the Taliban takeover. But how concerned are you about the threat of terrorists finding their way here to the States and especially through the southern border?
Yeah, right now, look, what's happening on the southern border of the crisis, I think we have a president right now in his first 7 months I think this could be the first time where it created two humanitarian disasters, but they are not mutually exclusive. They are connected. What's happening on the southwest border in Afghanistan? Look, right now, as I said, in Afghanistan, the Pentagon's own words said that Afghanistan soon is going to be once again a base of operations for terrorist activities. Terrorist organizations that are resolved to continue to do America harm is alive and well. They continue to look for any vulnerability to exploit, to do just that. And right now, one of the biggest vulnerabilities we have in our country because of this administration is our southern border. The outgoing chief of Border Patrol warned his own personnel about that this is a real national security threat. That this year, Border Patrol has apprehended 14 illegal aliens on the FBI's terror screening database. Right now, 300,000 gotaways have gotten past our frontline defense and made their way to every town, city, and state. They've apprehended people from 140 different countries, Jan. I could keep going on. What's happening in Afghanistan absolutely is a potential real threat to our southern border.
Mark Morgan, always great to get your expertise here. Thanks so much for joining us here on the National Desk. We appreciate it.
You bet. Thank you.